All right, it is time now once again for the Don and Eli Take on the World podcast. My name is Elias Melas, but you can call me Eli for short. And who is this lovely lady to my right? I'm going to make it simple today. Who's this lovely lady on my right?
Well, I am your girlfriend, Dawn Ledgerwood.
You are my girlfriend, Dawn Ledgerwood.
Yes, I am.
The one and only, right?
The one and only.
We accept no imitations of Dawn Ledgerwood, right?
What was that?
I said we accept no imitations
of
Dawn Ledgerwood.
Yeah, the real deal or nothing at all.
And you know why I mentioned that? Because during the beginning of this show, we're going to give you a little sneak peek into another episode we're going to be doing over the next few weeks here regarding how to properly handle copyright infringement if you have somebody that has been massively violating your copyright like we have on the internet, such as YouTube or any other platform. We're going to share with you folks what you can do to protect what's known as your intellectual property, right, baby?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll get into that in just a little bit. But before we get to that, baby, how's the last week gone? It's been another crazy, amazing week here at the GNA, short for January Networking Association. Go ahead.
I think every week for us is busy. I mean, and that goes for all of you out there. We all have busy weeks, busy jobs, busy just life, you know? And, but yeah, ours was great. Another successful week. Today, that day we are recording, it is Father's Day.
That's right.
So happy Father's Day to all the daddies out there. And yeah, so we've had a nice day so far. We went out for a nice brunch, and then we went to the grave to visit Eli's father. And it was just a very special, really nice moment this morning.
Yeah, baby, it's been a wonderful, wonderful day so far. Like my lady said, we are recording this show on Sunday, June 15th, 2025, which is Father's Day.
Yes, it is.
And this will be released throughout the entire podcast network, video on our main channel on YouTube, GNA, Genuine Personal Development, and throughout the entire audio-only podcast network. It'll be released on Wednesday, June 18th, 2025. We have the show out there on Apple, Spotify, on Amazon Music, and your very favorite, baby, iHeartRadio, and we have it on Audible, we have it on YouTube Music, and even all of the rest of the unknown audio-only podcast networks. If you want to listen to us audio-only, if that's easier for you, or if you don't have YouTube Premium and can't listen to us background play like while you're driving in your car, just do a Google search for the Don and Eli Take on the World podcast, and you will see the many different hosting providers that have our show, right?
Yeah.
A
lot of them out there.
Yeah, a lot of them out there. The podcast keeps on growing. Also, if you would like to be considered to be a guest on the show, please feel free to email me. You can find our email wherever you see this podcast in the description section, eliasmelas@genuinenetworkingassociation.org. I know it's long, so you're going to have to copy and paste it, eliasmelas@genuinenetworkingassociation.org. Soon that will be shortened to eliasmelas@gnanetwork.org, but I haven't activated that email yet. I do have the URL. So we're in progress of taking care of that. But for right now, make sure you use the eliasmelas@gnanetworkingassociation.org if you would like to be considered to be a guest that we interview on this show. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, baby, we had a great day today.
Yes, we did.
Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. When you folks are watching this, when it's released on Wednesday, it'll be past Father's Day, but happy belated Father's Day to all of the great fathers out there.
Yes, we hope you all had the best day ever, because you dads out there, you deserve it. Yeah, and
happy Father's Day to your wonderful dad. Your dad is a phenomenal man, babe.
Oh, I can't tell you enough. My father is my hero. He absolutely is. I look up to him so much. And, I haven't always been a daddy's girl.
Mm-hmm.
That's developed more as I've grown up
Mm-hmm.
and just realized everything he's done for me in his life. And it allowed me to respect the work he's done and sacrificed for all of us. And I now can see that. And I'm so proud to be his daughter. I really am. I love him so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, happy Father's Day, Dad.
Happy Father's Day, Mr. Ledgerwood. And much respect. He's a really, really good guy. Every time we've hung out, he has been the nicest, most respectful guy. And when I say nice guy, I don't mean that in a sissy way. He's a good man. He's a very good man.
Very reasonable.
He's reasonable. He's multi-talented. He used to do tile. He's retired. He had his own business and
Tile contractor.
Tile contractor. He also, the property your parents live on has a lot of acreage. He gets out there. He has a John Deere. He keeps it clean himself. He's very handy. He can fix pretty much anything. And I respect an old school, old fashioned real man like that, baby.
And he's not old.
Oh yeah,
he's not old at all.
Yeah. Early 70s.
Well, gotta be 70 this year.
Sorry, he's 69. He'll be 70 this year. Yeah.
That man, he amazes me.
Absolutely. So like Don said, we went to the gravesite to visit my father today. We went to a buffet near the area where my father's gravesite is at, the Greek Orthodox Memorial Cemetery near San Francisco. And, it was very emotional for me. My dad's been gone, what's it been, 15 years now? 16 years. 16 years. And, he's the one that taught me everything I know. He taught me how to be a man. He taught me how to be a firm yet fair man. And that's the way that, I've been living my life as I've gotten older and learned. I'm a good person. I can be very nice. And I would prefer to be very nice all the time. But when you have people that are, violating you, especially intentionally violating you, to benefit from you monetarily, like this one person's been doing on YouTube for years. We'll get into that in a second. It involves the copyright thing we're going to talk about. You got to stand up for yourself. You've got to be firm yet fair.
Oh gosh.
You can't let people run over you and give them your power. You have to hold on to what's yours, and you can't let other people take what's yours, like this person has for the last 6 years, my intellectual property on YouTube. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that's something that my father also instilled in myself and my brothers.
Absolutely.
That basically, you have to be true to yourself, and it doesn't matter what anybody else says. Keep going. Keep pursuing your dream. Don't let the no's get you down, but they will smack you in the ass and wake you up. And what that is humbling.
Absolutely.
And everybody needs a little humbling in their life.
You're right.
Yeah.
Even myself, baby. Even myself.
Oh, absolutely. I say every single person on the planet needs a little bit of humbling. I kind of have always thought that every U.S. citizen should spend one weekend in jail to realize what they have in the world.
Yeah.
And then it can all be taken away.
It can be taken away in a flash.
In a flash.
Just like that.
Blink your eyes.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Right. You can work your ass off to build something that took you years or decades to build, and it can all be taken away from you just like that if you're not careful. If you don't, first of all, have self-respect and self-love, which will teach you how to respect others and appreciate others and not take advantage of others for your own self-benefit, especially in illegal ways, such as copyright infringement, also known as violating your intellectual property. And before we get to today's topic here for episode number 13 regarding overcoming an identity crisis, I was going to say anxiety crisis, but we've already done anxiety. This is similar. We're going to be discussing overcoming an identity crisis for episode 13. Let's share with people a little bit about an upcoming show we're going to be doing over the next few weeks. We haven't decided which week we're going to do it, but it'll be sometime in the next month or so that we do this. And we might even bring the G&A executive team to support us on this one because they've seen what's been going on. But we've been dealing with somebody on YouTube, babe. We don't have to mention his name here. We mentioned it on the other channel. This, video goes out on our main YouTube channel, G&A Genuine Personal Development, and then the audio-only version goes out throughout the podcast network. But we've been dealing with this one man who just turned 40 years old for many years. You've been with me for 3.5 years. He's been violating my copyright/intellectual property on YouTube massively for at least the last 5 to 6 years. Mm-hmm. And, last year I spent most of last year bulletproofing the GNA, Genuine Networking Association business, getting all the proper filings done, becoming an LLC, having a DBA, business license, and even getting, things registered for copyright through the United States Copyright Office, getting a copyright certificate which allows you to sue people for copyright, whether it be through small claims copyright court known as the Copyright Claims Board that, became available a few years back. It was created back in 2020. It's an alternate way to sue someone without having to go to federal court, which is more costly and requires you usually to have an attorney. You can represent yourself pro se in federal court as an individual, but if you're a business and you're suing someone as a business, they require you to have an attorney. So it gets very costly, and it's a more strenuous process. So they created the Small Claims Copyright Claims Board, but the person that you sue, once you serve them, they have an option to opt out of the case within 60 days after they're served. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times these people opt out.
Yeah.
Well, this person that I now have 2 copyright claims board, active copyright claims board lawsuits on. And he may be getting a 3rd one soon because he keeps on challenging my copyrights with counter notifications. This person also was removed on YouTube from 5 channels over 2 years ago for massively violating the terms of service. And when that happens, you're not allowed to come back and create any other channels. You are permanently banned from creating on YouTube. But
they go through that on the IP address in the family? Is that how you were saying?
No, what I'm saying, IP stands for intellectual property. Mm-hmm. Now, you're talking about IP address as your internet address.
Yes.
YouTube can block anyone's IP address. And that way, their entire family on that internet connection cannot access YouTube, period. Mm-hmm. They haven't done that with him yet, but who knows? They might end up doing that. They usually don't do that. And for people that have been removed, they keep coming back, and then they keep getting shut down, and they keep coming back, and they keep getting shut down. Eventually, when YouTube finds out they're circumventing, it's like a yo-yo game.
Yeah.
But the problem with this guy is he keeps on coming back, and he keeps on violating my intellectual property, copyright, and other people's copyright. He lacks severe originality, and he really has no content unless he's using someone else's content. Mm-hmm. And when he's talking, freestyle like we are right now, nobody watches him because, no disrespect, it's the truth. He's boring as fuck.
Yeah, so he has to play or restream one of your videos in order to have content for people to come watch his stuff.
Right.
Because if he didn't have Eli, he'd have nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Over the last 3 to 4 years, he has rebroadcasted my entire live streams as they're happening live. Probably, I'd say at least 2 to 250 times, maybe 300 times.
Oh, yeah.
And I've got all that stuff downloaded. I've got so much infringement proof on this person that, when we go to court, it should be, no problem, being able to prove my case and, getting some form of restitution. But this guy continues to play it up on YouTube because that's all he has. He has been, leveraging some loopholes. A few of his channels went down, and he got one of them back regarding a loophole while you're, litigating. If you take somebody down for copyright and then they file a counter notification saying it's fair use, and then you go ahead and sue them to prevent the video from being reinstated, YouTube will keep their video down, but then they will take away the copyright strike that was initially put on their channel while you're in litigation, which I think is bullshit. It makes no sense, right? So then the guy, ended up getting one channel back. He's currently trying to do the same thing with a second channel. He's probably going to get that channel back. And the bottom line is, it doesn't matter if he gets the channels back. What matters is what happens in court.
Yeah.
Because he can play the game on YouTube, and me showing my proof of infringement in court is going to be up to a judge to decide, not YouTube. YouTube is just there to say, hey, okay, this person's claiming that you are, violating their copyright, so we're removing your video. Now, you can file a counter notification and say it's fair use. Then we'll turn it back over to the person that put the claim, which in this case is me. And now I have 10 business days to file a lawsuit, or they will reinstate the content and remove the strike. So then I go and I file the lawsuit. They keep the video down, but what I didn't know, and I think they changed this, is that they keep the video down, but then they remove the strike. And if that channel had 3 strikes and was terminated, then they reinstate that channel. Well, he had to go and ask them to reinstate it, because when they removed that strike, he did this last week. When they removed that strike after I filed the second copyright case on him, he saw what was written on the note, that copyright strikes will not be valid throughout the litigation process. He went and talked with YouTube, and then they gave him his channel back. And now he's sitting out there gloating, saying, "Oh, I win and you, I win and you lose." No. This is not about winning or losing. This is about copyright infringement. And this is about this guy massively violating our infringement, and it has affected us from being able to properly grow on the YouTube platform. When he's rebroadcasting full-length live streams. I do walking with purpose streams, right, babe? Every single day almost, right? If not every other day, but usually every day. Sometimes they're about an hour and a half to 2 hours long. And he stopped doing it now because we're in court, but he was doing it for years beforehand. And I have lots of proof of many, many videos I've downloaded of his that can prove this. But when he's rebroadcasting the same exact content while we're live, he is in essence taking away live viewers. He's also telling the YouTube algorithm that my content is his, and our content on his channel has been getting further recommended than on our channel where the original is at.
Right.
So he's affecting the original work of copyright, which is ours, mine specifically, but ours, right? Okay. And that's another thing that we're going to fight for in court. So what we're saying here is that if you're dealing with, copyright villains out there, like this guy's a villain.
Yeah. Criminal.
This guy's a fucking nuisance. And he's going to watch this, and he's going to think he's triggering us. You're not triggering me, dude. You're not triggering us.
We're just stating the facts.
You are a villain. You are a man that has no purpose and no desire to do something that you can call your own. And you continue to fight for and stand tall on being able to use other people's content as your content instead of creating something that comes directly from you. Like why? How can any normal man or woman be proud of being successful off of someone else's work. I'm proud of, what I create.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know what they call that. Is it like purge, or what do the teachers call it when you copy from?
Plagiarism.
Plagiarism.
He plagiarizes.
Yes.
Right. Plagiarism's
absolutely.
a great word. High five.
I couldn't remember it, but
yeah, and you know what? I forgot about that. This guy's a massive person that plagiarizes all the time.
Yes.
Massive plagiarism is what it is.
Absolutely.
That's what I have you here for.
I mean, it's just the word that came to my mind when you
No, you're right.
It.
That's what it is.
It's one of the things when
he's a copycat. He's been called a copycat for years.
Yeah, but I was going to say this one thing when you hear somebody's name or something, you get an immediate thought. And that's the immediate thought I get thinking about this certain individual. And so, it's like, that's what I feel he is. He's fictitious. He is also circumventing, and any of those words. Mm-hmm. That's all he is.
Well, he has made YouTube and stealing other people's content his identity, which is going to play perfectly. I didn't create this topic based on him, but he's a part of the topic because he's having an identity crisis. I think this guy is having an identity crisis. Let's get into the topic, and then we'll continue talking about this and lead into the other stuff. But the topic of today's show for episode number 13 of the Don and Eli Take on the World podcast is overcoming an identity crisis. Overcoming an identity crisis. Let me ask you this first and foremost. In this case, regarding this massive, infringer, a person that's massively plagiarizing a lot of stuff on YouTube, and he does it elsewhere on the internet too. Do you feel he is struggling with an identity crisis, and do you feel that his identity is based on what he's done on YouTube, and the fact that we're trying to stand up for our copyright and trying to take that away from him is affecting his identity? He's trying so hard to protect the identity he feels is his, which is not, it's not his. It's not his.
Well, people's identity is something that they create themselves to put out there. That's what they want the world to see.
Right.
And,
he's made his identity me.
Exactly. He is living vicariously through Eli. Mm-hmm. He doesn't get out and walk. He doesn't get out and do things. He doesn't have a girlfriend that he could take out.
He's 319 pounds, allegedly. Let's just say allegedly, because
or you know what? Let's go back to what the service.
The process server said he's between 200 and 240, but I mean, he might have been wearing a big shirt. But
yeah, but we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Still, if
maybe he has lost some weight.
If you're even 200 to 240 pounds at 5'9" or 5'10", which is what he is, he's actually heavier than that. Yes. But that's still very overweight.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He should be about 170, 175, maybe 180 at the most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, I agree with somebody in the chat about getting morbidly obese.
You're talking about our YouTube chats when we do live streams on YouTube. Remember, we're also on the audio only podcast network, and we've got to speak like we're speaking to people listening to on the radio. So I know Dawn is used to being on YouTube and having a live stream chat there, but we pre-record these for YouTube and the audio only podcast network. So if I need to step in and clarify it, go ahead.
I was saying somebody in our chat, which is on our walking stream.
On our walking streams on YouTube, on the other channel, GNA2, Genuine Life Personal Development.
Yeah, and somebody had made a statement. And I think you know who I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to mention any names on here.
No problem.
You and I have made a, kind of an understanding.
Oh, we know.
That this is not where we bring the drama with the names of everybody.
Right.
We're just here to let y'all know what's going on in our life and how we are doing something about it in a positive way.
Absolutely.
With Eli's concern here, with this gentleman and his identity, like this has been something that started very little, like fun little jokes, whatever, that has developed into a complete identity crisis for this
And
gentleman.
it's become a game for him.
It became a game. It was going. It was a game, and felt he was winning. And he may have been winning at times, but
that's because I didn't do anything. Now I'm litigating. Now we're going to court.
Yes,
if we have to go to federal court, we're going to fucking federal court. We're going all the way. But go ahead.
That's what I was going to say. Now that Eli is standing up and saying, no, F this, I'm going to stand up for my own copyright, my own trademark, all of this stuff. And my company.
It's my hard work, our hard work.
Yeah. And he's like, fuck this. I'm going to stand up and fight for it. And it took a little while for him to really get serious, to realize that this was not just a YouTube beef. It's actually serious. And it's real life. And it's not, it's not what YouTube is there for. I mean, it's like you've taken a platform and completely ruined it for a lot of people. You've really, and you got to be careful with that, because I believe this individual is really kind at heart and he doesn't like doing all of this, but this is who he became because he had no other choices in life.
He made this his identity to the point of where he's fighting for an identity that's not his, which, in my opinion, he's having an identity crisis, and he's had one for a while. It stems back to his childhood regarding the lack of parenting. His parents, he's moved back into his parents' home at 40 years old, and they cater to him hand over foot, right? And, when I tried to serve him initially for the first case, a little over a week ago, he was avoiding service. Somebody that the process server described similar to what his father looks like, I believe was his father, told the process server that he no longer lives there. So in essence, his father lied for him. What kind of lesson, sir, are you fucking teaching your 40-year-old son that you allowed to move back into your home? Because he fucking failed living out on his own. Now, here's the thing. Don and I share a house with my mother. That doesn't mean we're not paying our bills or anything like that. We have our money. We pay our bills. A lot of these people have come at us for similar things. So I want to say that and be fair. It's a whole different situation. This guy is living in that home rent-free, and he's still being coddled by his own fucking father and mother at age 40 fucking years old. And he's never going to learn responsibility until somebody holds him accountable. And that's why he's been doing this stuff on YouTube to us and other people. That's why I have to go all the way and teach this motherfucker a lesson. He needs to learn a lesson. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, that's the problem here. I was going to say, being like 40 years old, I would be very upset with myself especially as a man, if I hadn't found my purpose in life.
Oh, yeah, he lacks purpose big time, right?
And I think that's why he hides behind the computer and creates his own identity that the world would want to see, or that he feels the world would want to see.
Yeah, he's giving people what he feels the world wants him to be rather than just being him fucking self.
Yeah.
Being him fucking self. Sorry, being himself. Sorry, I can't even talk. Like, this dude really, honestly, this dude really, really just pisses a lot of people off. And look, I'm being mature about this, but this is frustrating. This guy is like a fly that just won't go away. He is fighting for something so hard. He's fighting to protect, being allowed to steal my copyright and other people's copyright. Instead of figuring out what his own purpose is and finding an identity for himself. He is having, in my opinion, a severe identity crisis.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
Yeah. Yeah. So anything else regarding that, or should we get into what we're going to talk about here today? This show's only going to be about 90 minutes. It's going to be a short show this week because we don't want to overdo it. And we're trying some new things here. We're shortening the show to 90 minutes this week just to kind of see how that affects the numbers and people being able to digest it a little bit better.
Yeah.
But yeah, you ready to get right to it, baby? Episode number 13, again, the Don Lee I Take on the World podcast, Overcoming an Identity Crisis. So we're not going to show anything on the screen this week. Don and I we have some notes here, and we're gonna go through these notes, and then we're going to each take turns and go into detail. So first, let's start off by sharing, what an identity crisis is. And what it is, it's a period of intense self-reflection and questioning about one's sense of self, purpose, and place in the world. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly, baby, what we've been talking about this guy. This guy is struggling to figure out what his sense of self is, what his purpose is. I've been saying that for years, and many other people struggle with the same thing.
And where his place is in this world.
Where's his place in the world? And he thinks it's YouTube. His whole identity is fucking YouTube. Mm-hmm. It's you and I.
And that's another.
We go out.
Yeah, we go out, but that's another fallback on social media. It is definitely decrease the amount of people who actually go out and meet each other in person and create relationships that are normal friendships, not where you're conniving behind a computer on how you're going to ruin somebody else's day. Like, normal people don't do that. Well-adjusted people don't do that. They get up, they have a purpose, they go to work, and then they come home and they take care of their family or themselves or whatever they need to do. That's what a person does with a purpose. He wakes up and has no purpose other than to sit in his boxers in his mother's home and hide behind the computer. And
he's pathetic.
He doesn't get up like this.
It's pathetic.
He doesn't get up and show his face on like this because he's too busy running Eli's freaking live stream behind him, and he's just chatting in the back.
And now he's focusing all his energy on trying to combat all the copyright strikes I put on his channels on YouTube, where he's already circumventing, right? And many of us, we've reported him for circumventing, and sometimes YouTube takes him down for that, sometimes they don't. But the bottom line is, it's only a matter of time before one day YouTube's going to flip the switch and they're going to IP ban his whole household. And then his mom and dad won't be able to get on YouTube. Then they're going to be like, why the fuck can't we get on YouTube, son? Well, I
fucked up.
Ma'am, sir, how much time do you have? I'd be glad to share with you why your IP's been banned by YouTube, right? Then they'll probably try to get on from their cell connection. But what people don't understand is every single device has what's called a device ID. And it doesn't matter if you keep on changing your IP address. YouTube and Google can also ban your individual device. They can see your device number publicly. Anyone can see that. Okay. And they can ban that. So the bottom line is he's going to get his IPs banned, his parents' IPs banned. He's going to get all the devices banned within the network in the home. And the only way they're going to be able to access YouTube is probably by going to a library or somewhere, right?
If they even know what a library is.
Can you imagine what would happen if this dude woke up one day?
His computer didn't work.
And he tried to get onto YouTube and it wouldn't let him get on. But then he goes to like Yahoo and it still works. Everything else works, but YouTube and Google are completely banned in his entire household and on every device that he and his parents own. Can you imagine that?
He would have a heart attack.
Oh, his identity would be done. I think that would, honestly, I think that would give him the biggest panic attack to the point of where I don't even want to say what I think he would do, but let's.
He'd have to be hospitalized.
He would have, we would have to put a 5150 hold on this guy. Yeah. I mean,
foam wall.
It's so funny that we have to go as far and say that if this guy couldn't access YouTube, we would have to they would probably have to put a 5150 hold
institutionalize him
on him. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically somebody that, is a threat to take their own life or to harm somebody else.
Yes.
So they put you on a 48 to 72 hour hold.
72-hour hold.
72-hour hold, and you're institutionalized.
Well, you're in a hospital that's on a behavioral unit.
Uh-huh.
And you're getting...
And they strap your ass down with the restraints.
Not... You have to do something pretty scary to be restrained in a psych ward. It's like... Because it's just like other people in our lives. With people that are like that, you got to walk on eggshells. Because you never know what's going to trigger them.
I've got to share this. This is a funny now because you've worked through it, and I'm so proud of you. But you've been in the hospital a few times over the years for certain things, right? And,
yeah.
And this last time when you were in the hospital for a couple of weeks, you wanted to get up and leave, and it got to the point of where they had to
to restrain you.
They had to restrain you.
Yeah, but remember, during that time, I was detoxing.
You were detoxing,
and so I didn't know. And I didn't want to be strapped down. Like, I already felt like I didn't know. I didn't have control over who I was.
Right.
And so I was just running. I was scared.
Yeah, you were running in fight or flight mode.
Yeah, fight or flight. Absolutely. And, they had to do what they had to do. And I don't have any, ill feeling against that or even embarrassment. It's something that happens to a lot of people, especially when they're detoxing. It's that fight or flight. They're scared. They want to run. And you're there to help them. And you got to do it in the most compassionate way in order to pull these people back in.
But I would show up, and I would show up to visit you twice a day at the hospital when you were in there, right? And when I would show up, I would see you trying to break out of the restraints, and you were trying to go under them. I'm like, this woman is too fucking smart. Like, she's trying to break out. The restraints are on her
bed rail
to keep her safe, so she doesn't get up, fall, crack her head open, or whatever, right? Because she was under a lot of medication and getting the right treatment that she needed. I only brought that up because I think this other dude, if he ever gets on a 5150 hold, they're gonna have to restrain him.
And we'll clarify this. I was not on a 5150 hold.
She's never been on a 5150 hold.
I went into the hospital due to seizures and then stayed so they can get the seizures under control. And I detoxed in the same process. And you know what?
It's turned your life around.
Honest to God, it was the best way for me to do that because I was not in my own brain ready to go to a rehab facility and be quote unquote locked up in my head. For 30 days, giving up my life. So it helped to have, even though I was a complete and total bitch and monster, every bad thing.
I will agree to that, baby. No disrespect intended, but I agree to that.
So bad. I was yelling at my therapist like I didn't want her. And that's so far from the truth.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, but it took time, and that's what people go through during detox. And that also is a huge identity change. When you're living, drinking, or doing drugs, or having your own vice every single day, and you're getting used to that, that's the identity you become. And that's really, if you are, abusing any drugs or anything, that's really not the look you want to have. It's not the identity you want to have, not the legacy you want to have. So, when I stopped drinking, I felt like a completely different woman. I felt clear, refreshed, and not so heavy.
Yeah.
And I realized with this clarity that a lot of things were my fault that happened. And I didn't see it that way. I felt like the whole world was coming at me and who I was. And I was like, why am I not good enough for you? This is who I am. No, that's who the alcohol was.
What you needed, babe, was the right support.
Yes.
And you got the right support. I'm not taking anything away from Dawn or trying to take any credit. but I fully supported her, and I still do. I fought hard for her.
Yes, you kept me in check.
You know
is
what?
you did.
Hold on. You told me that your big dog likes to fart, and I'm smelling his fart right now. Bochi farted.
Yeah.
I can smell it, man. The dog, our big dog, when we sleep sometimes, he farts in my face because he sleeps in the bed and stuff, and anyway, go ahead, baby. It's okay.
No.
I took a nice whiff of Bochi's bum, and now we're moving on.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Unexpectedly.
It's funny. That was a conversation we were having the other night.
Yeah, we
happened.
were. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I should just go into your chat and be like, oh yeah, and Bochi even farts.
Yeah. Bochi is Don's bigger, older dog. He was named after former Giants manager Bruce Bochy.
Yes. Bruce Bochy.
Yeah.
And then the smaller one is Buster Posey.
Yeah, the smaller one is named Buster after Buster Posey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of the best catchers of all time. But Buster Posey was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's our next one going to be? Jung-Hoo Lee?
Oh, Jung-Hoo Lee, man. I'll tell you,
that'd be a good name.
Trump better not Trump better not deport Jung-Hoo Lee from the Giants, because that dude, man, that dude, he's a stud, man. I'm like, what?
Yeah, he's like 6 foot tall, lean, strong. Like, yeah, he's a stud. He's fast. Got a good eye.
Donald Trump is such a BSer, because listen, Donald Trump has used the Chinese for his businesses more than anyone, because it's the cheapest way to do things, right? I love the Chinese. I love getting Chinese parts, 25% of the price of the same exact thing you would get if it was manufactured here in the U.S., right? Mm-hmm. But anyway, that's another story. We got so many topics we're going to be talking over the weeks. Let's try to stay focused on the topic at hand. But anyway, so going back to overcoming an identity crisis, should we continue here?
Well, yeah, I think we were just, talking about that with my overcoming my identity crisis once I became sober, and I realized now that was the person everybody was in love with before the alcohol came.
Yeah.
And the alcohol did not get bad until my 30s, into my 40s, late 40s. And so it's a good 20 years of heavy drinking. And when I stopped, like, I could see the world, I could see the sun, I could see the birds. Like, I know that sounds cuckoo, but that's how it felt for me. Just absolutely refreshing. And I encourage anybody that if they have anything that they feel is holding them back, to evaluate it and see what changes you can make in order to further, am I against drinking? No. Do I have that attitude, like going into a restaurant and they ask, oh, can you have a glass of wine, or do you want a glass of wine? No, I don't drink anymore. My mother used to do that, and I thought it was the most entitled type of like thing you could say to somebody. It's like, okay, good for you. You don't drink anymore. Mm-hmm. Was it necessary? But I didn't become that person. I just, no, thank you. I'll have a Diet Coke, or I'll have a lemonade. Yeah. I'll even have water, whatever.
Right.
He drinks coffee.
Oh, I love coffee.
That's what he had this morning. I had orange juice, and, that was that.
Yeah.
So, great brunch. I mean, before we get more into this, we went to Chevy's, and let me tell you, their spread of food was so good.
And normally it's an all-you-can-eat buffet that they're doing every Sunday. Normally it's $37 per adult. I think like $14 or $15 for kids. It was $44 for Father's Day, which is still a great deal. So for $44, you have a huge dessert spread. You have all this meat, enchiladas. You have
tamales.
What's that?
Tamales.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, Sandra Palacio, who's probably going to watch this. She makes tamales. She's going to have to ship us out some tamales. She said that she makes some of the best tamales. But we had tamales there. I too many things to mention.
Chicharrones?
There was flan. What's that?
I think it's chicharrones.
Whatever they were called. But we tried.
I don't think you tried that one.
Everything that you had on your plate, I did try. But
Oh,
there were some other things. We got there too early. Like they had the fondue chocolate thing that they were going to put out there, but it wasn't ready. We got there at 9:30 and left at about 11, and they still hadn't brought it out yet. And then they also have like tri-tip and stuff like that.
a carving station.
Which was not open yet. I guess that they're opening that later, like around 11:30 or so.
Mm-hmm.
Next time we're going to go around 12 o'clock.
Yeah, we weren't sure how it was going to be, being that it was Father's Day.
Yeah.
So when I made the reservation, I wanted to get there closer to the time the food was coming out fresh. And so I figured 9:30 was a good time. And actually, it was awesome. We had like the whole restaurant to ourselves. We were the first persons to touch.
Yeah, we were the first ones in there.
Yeah.
And they were so nice to us.
Oh my god.
Oh, you know what I was going to say too, baby? I was saying there, I'm like, and this, listen, I just got to keep it real. Donald Trump's been talking about deporting illegal aliens, primarily the Hispanics, right? I got to tell you, most of the people that were there were Hispanic. Some were Caucasian and other ethnicities, but we were approached by many Hispanic people. They were so nice.
So nice.
And
thankful for us being there.
Listen, the Hispanic culture, they know how to cook. They know how to party. They make the best desserts. They make some of the best food.
Make the best drinks.
And look, they're very nice people. And here's the thing. Listen, criminals are criminals. It doesn't matter what ethnicity you are. If you're a criminal, you should be prosecuted. But Donald Trump's trying to make it sound like, all of these Hispanics that are here illegally are criminals, when the bottom line is they're doing most of the jobs that other Americans don't want to do, and they're pretty damn good at them. And they do them for much less than what most of us would want to get paid to do those jobs for, like in the produce fields and stuff like that. And so I was telling Don this. I said, look, I would rather, I have more respect than the non-criminal illegal aliens here than I do for many of the Caucasian people in my same race in different parts of this country, in the Midwest and the South. I've been dealing with a lot of people on YouTube from the Midwest and the South. This is not everyone. So if you're a good person, please forgive me. But we've dealt with a lot of people from the Midwest and the South that are, Caucasian, and especially the men from that area. The women are pretty bad too, but the men from that area are very vile, and they're anti, progression. They're anti everything moving forward. They want things to be, the way it was back in the old school days, like traditionalism, where women were barefoot, pregnant in the kitchen, yada, 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 right? And
Yada,
so it's like, I look at these illegal aliens that are here, and they're productive members of society. And I've heard this from many other channels, like the Brian Tyler Cohen and the Midas Touch Podcast Network. Those are two channels. They're progressive, a little more left-leaning, but more down the middle. And they're anti-Trump. They call Trump out every single day. And a lot of them are saying the same thing. It's like you have a lot of the illegal aliens here. They're trying to get citizenship, and they're productive members of society. They're not criminals. And they're keeping our country going, especially with the produce and other things that we don't want to do.
Well, yeah, in construction, you see, I appreciate driving
gardening,
by
construction,
but I have respect for those guys that are standing outside of Home Depot at 6 a.m. trying to get
the day laborers, baby, the day laborers.
Yeah, and they're out there trying to work and make money for their family every day. And those are the people that
they're working like slaves.
Yeah, they're probably not citizens here because they can't get anything with a social security number. You all know.
But they're productive members of society.
They're not sitting around and grifting, or
like that dude on YouTube with the copyright issues we have.
Yeah.
They're not sitting around like that guy jerking off at 40 years old in his parents' home.
Yeah, no, they've got their own children, their own wife.
Yeah.
They're working their fingers to the bones
Right.
to provide. And their woman at home, she is making tamales and
hell yeah.
everything else on the side for income. They sell tamales all the time. They sell fresh tortillas, all of those things.
That's right.
I mean, I lived in a predominantly Hispanic town of Hollister, California.
That's right.
But we would have those ladies right outside the Mexican grocery
Oh,
store.
the authentic homemade tamales.
Oh, yeah, straight from Mama's kitchen or Grandma's kitchen. Yeah. You think, oh my God, it's so gross. You don't know who this person is or what their kitchen's like. But after you taste them, you don't care. Like, seriously, you're like, I don't care where this tamale came from.
I'll tell you this. In my opinion, baby, the Mexicans and the Chinese have made the United States what it is.
Absolutely.
They have. Well, the Mexicans with their food, their culture, they are the ones that are running the produce fields when we don't want to do that. They are the ones, they're gardeners, like Asians and Mexicans, Hispanics. They run the gardening businesses and they're very successful. We don't want to do that. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't any, Caucasians doing that work. There are, but primarily it's the Hispanics and the Asians are doing all that. And they do a damn good job at it.
Yeah, you find the Caucasian being the owner of the company and hiring them to go out and do all of the work
in some cases,
he doesn't want to do.
But then the ones that become legal, or let's say the ones that were born here to immigrant parents, that automatically get what's called birthright citizenship. And then Trump was trying to reverse the constitutional right of birthright citizenship, right?
So basically the whole country would be empty.
Well, pretty much, because my parents came here and then they got citizenship, right? But I got citizenship here by birthright citizenship. So did my brother, right?
But my grandmother's from Germany.
And so what happens is, what these kids do is if they are working, for somebody else because their father was not here legally or whatever, then when they get to the point of where they made some money, then they start their own business. And then it's the Hispanic family running the business, not the Caucasian man that initially ran it, right?
Yeah.
A lot of these Hispanic people are some of the hardest, most decent people that I've ever seen. And they wanted to come here for a better life, just like my parents came here from Greece for a better life. Everyone comes to America for a better life.
The American dream.
We need to do another show on this too. We're kind of all over the place on this show, but it's all going to stem back to the topic here, identity crisis. But
well, yeah, because we're talking about all these things, and now we're getting into different ethnicities and how that can affect different identity.
Yeah,
changes,
that's a good
crises. There's a lot of pressure put on in different cultures, different families,
right,
for their children to be doctors, lawyers, successful type of people. So it puts a lot of pressure on these kids, and some kids rebel and become a different person than what their parents have raised and want. And then they rebel and they push their life back instead of just being themselves the whole time. That is the key thing, is being true to yourself
right,
from the day you were born. Know who you are and love that person.
Yeah, self-worth, self-respect.
Oh, yeah. Right? My brother, my middle brother, he came out of the womb like with self-respect. He's like,
Is that Dean?
Yeah, he's like, I saw the birth canal. I know where I'm going in life. I'm going out,
Yeah, I got to meet Dean at the Giants game we went to for your birthday last month, baby. And I'll tell you, he seems like a pretty good guy. And I will get to know your brother more. And, Don and I are working on putting a lot of things together. And then we're going to start to spend a lot more time with her family. We're going to start to do a lot more family functions. Your father's birthday is coming up in 2 months. In 2 months, and I think we're gonna go and do some gambling at an Indian reservation or something. We're not going to say which one because then these people will fucking troll us on YouTube.
Yeah.
They'll try to hunt us down and have our rooms canceled or something, right? These people on YouTube, I mentioned I was going to Five Guys one time right down the freeway. And I go there, I place the order, right? I go there and they tell me that someone called to cancel the order. And I'm like, oh, some dude from YouTube. Like, I swear to God, babe. These people,
they go to all, like you want to go right back to high school?
Right.
Get on YouTube. Like, seriously. Same guy.
It's just certain people. It's not everybody,
yeah,
you know.
No, same guy, two nights later, sends us a cash delivery pizza as if, who does that anymore? Like, I don't know anybody who has cash on them. And like, so he's sending pizzas.
Yeah, he tried to send us pizzas COD, but I've called all the pizza places in the past and I've had that taken care of. So, you know, he can.
It's like that stuff you do in, you know, grade school, junior high, high school.
Don, you were like saying, who the fuck takes COD, cash on delivery anymore, right? But
nobody has cash anymore on them.
Some people, I guess, still do it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, my mom's always like lived like she has to have something in her wallet.
Yeah.
Just to feel good. And, you know, my dad does carry cash, but he only carries hundos, really. You know,
your dad's a baller, baby.
Well, I mean, and he does that because really the only time he'll do that is like when he's going out, you know, and he doesn't want to use the company credit card.
When your dad came here with your mom to see the place about a year and a half ago or so, we wanted to buy him dinner. I wanted to buy them dinner, and I went to go get dinner. I said, dinner's on me. And when I came back, your dad's like, will 100 cover this? And I'm like, sir, this is on me. I said, please, you know, we want to take care of you. You folks drove all the way here.
Yeah.
Your dad just whipped out, 100 take care of this. And it was in a respectful way. This was not the man wasn't trying to say, I'm a baller, man. I'm big ball. And he is a baller. Don't get me wrong. But I say that respectfully. He's earned that. But I didn't take his money and I won't. And I won't take his money.
He's not a baller in the sense that he shows it.
No, he's not a baller shot caller. He's not one of those, he's a good guy, meaning that
down to earth.
He likes to give to people more than take.
Yeah.
He's just like me. And so, and just like you, right? So,
but he doesn't give to give. You have to earn it from him because same thing. My dad never would allow us as children under the age of 18 to act an entitled way. He was always, remember where you came from, you know, and sorry. But yeah, just remember where you came from, you know, remember what's true to you. Don't try to be this superstar on TV or this singer on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, you are you. Don't emulate anybody else because yourself, you are the beauty.
Right. All right, let's continue here because we're already at 58 minutes. You still good? Oh, okay. So right now you got to go. Okay, so Dawn is going to go and take a quick restroom break. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the camera and remind everyone that is listening to us throughout the audio-only podcast network on Apple, on Spotify, on Amazon Music, my lady's favorite iHeartRadio, or any one of the many other audio-only places you can listen to this at. If you would like to watch the video version of this, it's the exact same audio with the video. We upload it to our main YouTube channel, and it gets released at the same time the audio-only version gets released. 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific every Wednesdays. The main channel is GNA, Genuine Personal Development. All you have to do is go below the description of, you know, where you're listening to this at or any other episode you're listening to, and there's a link to that episode's video on our main YouTube channel. You can click that link. which will take you to that channel over there. It'll take you to that actual video, but you'll also see you're on the GNA Genuine Personal Development YouTube channel. Make sure while you're there, you subscribe, you bang the bell, and then you select all notifications so you don't miss anything. And after that, go in the description section of that video, and you'll see a link to our secondary channel that Don was talking about earlier. It's the GNA 2 Genuine Live Personal Development channel, where we do all of our live streams. Sometimes we'll do a live stream on the main channel, but typically they're on the channel that's there for live streaming. That's why it's called GNA 2 Genuine Live Personal Development. I do almost daily, if not daily, Walking with Purpose live streams. They're informal. They typically have a topic, but you can come in the chat and ask anything as long as you're respectful and you're not trolling and you're not hating. If you're trolling, if you're hating, if you're spamming, you will be banned. But if you're respectful and you have any questions regarding the topic or anything else that's related to personal development, self-help, or personal improvement, which is what we do here at the GNA, feel free to ask and I'll answer your questions. Sometimes Dawn will join me on the walk. She's joined me on a few walks over the past several weeks. She hasn't been able to do one in about a week or so because we've been pretty busy and she's had other things to do. But when Dawn can, she'll be joining me, once or twice a week, to do those walks with me. And yeah, they're pretty awesome. So that is that. Lots of great stuff coming to the GNA. And I'm still also working on the GNA website. If you go to gnanetwork.org, it'll redirect you to genuinenetworkingassociation.org. The site is in progress. If you want to take a look at what the GNA has done in the past, we used to do in-person networking along with personal development. Now we've moved it more so online. We have a lot of our old media podcasts on demand there. So if you want to take a look at what we've done in the past, go to the website. The website is under construction. It's still, very similar to the way it used to be when we ran in-person networking events. I made some changes, but we'll be making more changes over the next few months. And hopefully by the end of the year, it'll be all completed, including having a forum out there for people to communicate, through our own website outside of, a social media website. So, you ready for me to turn the camera back on? Let's turn the camera back on.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we are good.
Yeah.
All right, so let's continue because we are now at 1 hour and 2 minutes. Okay. Identity crises often occur during times of transition or when someone is forced to confront aspects of their life that conflict with their current roles.
Yes. And that happens a lot in young marriages. I highly recommend, coming from somebody who was married at the age of 19, I highly recommend not doing that and getting to know who you are as a human before you decide to sign up with another human and conform to who they are. And that's what happens to a lot of women, is they will get married young and they conform to what their husband wants in the life. So if the husband was raised with the woman being home, having children, and expects that of his current modern woman.
And she wants to go get a degree and work, right?
She wants to go to work, and still have children,
right?
And she realizes now, or she tells him, we need to do this together. So now identity crisis for him, because he no longer can be the guy that just goes to work and comes home and goes to bed. Now he's a whole nother man. Yeah. And he doesn't know how to do it. And she is a whole nother woman, because we're not just born as women to know how to mother a child. Right. And how to multitask in the way that we do as moms. I'm not taking any credit from dads, because dads, single dads are the most respectable people I can see out there. Because as a society, we expect moms to just have the children and be single moms, because that's what the world knows. But, when something like that happens, when you're living a life, I was married 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
I was a wife and a mother 13
right.
years. When I was divorced, I was no longer a wife. So my identity as that wife, housewife, all that stuff went away. And now I'm a single woman. And I hadn't been single in my whole life. Because you figure, I married him right out of high school. I was dating him. I took him to my senior prom. I literally went from dad's house to his house and never got to know who I was. And I highly regret that.
Did you have an identity crisis at that point?
Oh, yeah, because
Okay.
I went from being this really good, responsible human to now being that 18 to 21-year-old. I didn't have that time to be carefree and go to college and have spring breaks and all that.
You had no choice but to learn responsibility quick.
I went right from graduation to the fucking delivery room.
Yeah.
No time to really
explore
who I was going to be.
Yourself out, right?
I didn't even know who I was going to be. It just then got scripted.
Yep.
That was my life. And then when that part ended abruptly like it did,
you felt like you lost your identity, huh?
My whole identity was gone. I felt like I was not needed anymore.
Yep.
And
I can understand that.
And it shook me into a whole nother person that my family never thought I could become. And it wasn't until dating Eli and having the support from him in order to get better, I would have never been the way I was today. I've had people in my life try to support me, but it's one of the things like, okay, yeah, but when I say, oh, can I get a drink? Or can I drink now? Or, oh, go get a bottle. Okay. It's like, thought you were slowing down. Well, okay, no big deal. I'll go get you another bottle. They enabled the problem.
Right.
Instead of saying, okay, do you really need that right now? And then, you know what? Even now, sometimes I'll say, oh, I feel like having a beer.
Yep.
Sounds good. Eli will say, do you really want it? And I'm like, no, it just sounds good.
Okay.
And that's what bottom line it is. And that's our discussion. We go on the rest of our day and no beer has been consumed.
You talked about enabling, just like the other dude we were talking about that's been massively violating my copyright for years. His parents are enabling his piss poor behavior at 40 years old. They never taught him responsibility. Like even if your own, or especially if your own parents are going to enable a 40-year-old man to still behave erratically at 40 years old in the same ways they enabled him when he was 10 or 15 or 17 or 18 or 20 or 25 or 30. I can't blame the guy for being this way. So I really can't blame him. But by 40 years old, he should be able to fucking figure this shit out on his own.
That's why
That's
why on this side of the table, I say I can blame him. Because he is 40 years old and he should have learned better.
Well, I said that in different words, but you understand what I said.
Yeah, absolutely.
He hasn't learned responsibility yet. He has not.
And that's not his fault.
No, it's not his fault, but he can't continue to feel that he can get away with doing stupid shit because of it. That's why it's important to hold this guy accountable.
Yeah.
And that's why he does what he continues to do, violating my copyright and fighting the fact that I'm fighting him on it legally. Like I'm fighting him legally in court, and he's trying to fight back on YouTube to try to get back channels that were terminated for multiple, violations of copyright infringement.
Yeah, and he's now after all these years standing up for himself to Eli and like, oh yeah, now I'm going to come back and I'm going to, challenge your copyright.
Oh, we're just going to keep going to court every time.
But now that he sees that you're serious,
yeah,
he's he's in another identity crisis because he doesn't know he's been doing this for so long
Mm-hmm.
to you now. He doesn't know what he can do.
He doesn't know where to go from here. He has nothing. He has nowhere left to go. I'm taking back what was always mine.
You're taking back.
Yeah.
Or you're taking away your identity from him.
Right. And basically taking back what's always been mine. My identity is my identity, motherfucker.
Right.
That's the truth of the matter.
I mean, every one of us has our own personality, our own way of doing things. You know, I mean, we all have to take responsibility for how we act. You know, it's just a way to get along civilly in the world. You do not have to like everybody you meet. You do not have to be friends with everybody you meet.
That's true.
But
you can be cordial and civil with people.
Cordial and civil.
Cordial and civil, right. Amen.
That's all you got to do. Don't got to be friends. You don't got to get along. You don't like each other. You just got to be.
Amen. Let's continue here. While it can be a stressful and uncomfortable experience, it can also lead to personal growth and a stronger sense of self. So everybody goes through an identity crisis, babe. You've gone through one. I've been through one. I went through one in my late 20s. And basically, it was back in those days, there have been times where I've gone plus and minus 30 on my weight, right? And I had gained towards my late 20s, I'd gained 30 pounds. And I said, you know what, I'm going to lose the weight. I'm going to get really healthy and fit. I'm going to start buying some better clothing. And, I'm going to manifest in my head my future. I want to find a good lady. I want to be able to attract her physically, mentally, emotionally. And here's the thing. I worked on myself. I lost the weight in about, 4 or 5 months or so. And, I started, walking more. I started exercising more. I bought better clothing, and it started to make me feel better because, part of feeling good is looking good. It's not all about the looks, but when you look good deep down inside, you feel better about yourself. And it's not, you don't go out there saying, hey, I'm Eli, I'm the hottest guy in the world. That's not true. But I'm just saying, for example, I after getting into better shape and wearing better clothing, I wasn't going out there saying, hey, I'm Eli, I'm the hottest guy in the world. I wear the best clothing. That's why you should date me and be with me. No, you don't do that. But in your head, you know that you're worth it.
You're putting out your best self.
It's self-worth. You know what your self-worth is at that point. And you're doing the best you can with what you've got, meaning what God gave you, right? And so from that point on, I worked through my identity crisis. And since my early 30s, I've been getting a little better each and every day. I'm still a work in progress. We're all going to be a work in progress until the day we die, right, babe?
Mm-hmm.
But that's when I overcame my identity crisis. And
things change all throughout your life. Like he's saying, have different identity crises several times.
Yeah.
I look at your mother, who's widowed. That was a big identity crisis, change, personality, everything. She went from being in a co-parenting kind of situation, now to being a one-parent household. And, that's a major adjustment. And you've got to be there to support your children for their loss. You got to help yourself, support yourself for your loss. And then you've got to do life. You got to get back to life and pay the bills and work and whatever, and then your identity is now being recreated in what you're doing after that situation.
Right.
And you could always better that identity in the way that you deal with that situation. So if you deal with somebody who's passed away, for instance, you could be angry, you could be sad. But then you have to keep proceeding through the different stages of grief in order for you to move forward and not be so angry at the world because you're afraid everybody you meet is just, they're going to die on you. Well, yeah, we're all going to die.
One day.
We don't know when, but we should not ever.
One day, right?
What?
One day we're all going to die.
One day. Yeah. And we don't know what day that is.
That's true.
So we have to live our best life every day.
Each and every day.
And finding the right place in your heart and soul, that's when you're going to find your true identity.
Right.
Who you're meant to be.
No, I fully agree with you on that. I fully agree with you. I believe, baby, that everyone's identity is pretty much known deep within. You just have to, figure it out. Like, your identity is already there. You just have to figure it out and better it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even about changing your identity. Now, some people change their identity, meaning, some people nowadays, they have sex changes. There's many different
plastic surgeries.
Right. There's what do you call it? There are many different sexual orientations nowadays.
Of course, yeah.
Right. And so, those people are having identity crises in different ways. And,
absolutely.
And sometimes they feel the need to change their identity to feel better about themselves, or to just, be who they feel they were meant to be.
Or who their parents feel they should be. A lot of
Possibly,
times,
yeah.
and I'm not, blanketing anything, but, if you asked a lot of fathers, if their son, came out in their teen years, would you be disappointed or would you be happy? And I'm going to tell you, most fathers are going to be disappointed because they're not going to have that son that goes out and is a, quarterback on the football team and, getting the cheerleader and all that hoopla that all of his parents want to live vicariously in our kids. That's a lot of pressure on somebody who doesn't want that.
Yeah.
And it forces them to change who they really are. And that's unfortunate because at that age, you forget and you just adapt and you become a sponge and you just keep rolling with whatever's going on in your world.
Right.
And that's the sad thing. But we can only work on it to get better with our kids and, the people in these younger generations, whether they are your children, they could be your coworkers.
That's true.
They don't have to be littles. They could be 25-year-olds. Everybody needs help and everybody deserves to have their identity appreciated of who they are.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Just be yourself. And then
Just
people
be
will be able to appreciate who you really are, meaning
you're gonna have more
your
friends.
identity.
You have more friends and support.
Yeah.
When you are yourself versus acting like a fool. You come into a bar or wherever and your mouth is going a mile a minute, but you don't got those fists to back up what your mouth is putting out there. So it's like you're acting all tough when really you're just a scared little mouse inside. And you don't want, if anybody swung a punch, you'd go down, But some people are like that. Some people just have that tough persona, but that's not who they are.
They're really a softie on the inside.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like those big security guards that are scary outside of places. They're really just nothing but teddy bears on the inside. Wouldn't hurt a fly, But, I'm talking about all the big bouncers.
Yeah.
And not one ethnicity. I see your eyeballs. I read your brain. No, they come in all ethnicities.
We were talking about Mr. Softy, and we went to your doctor's appointment the other day, and we have an ice cream truck company called Mr. Softy. And I was like, don't ever call me Mr. Softy, baby.
I didn't get it
Mr.
at first. Like,
Softy.
when I read the sign, I was like, oh, that's cute. Mr. Softy.
Soft
Thinking
serve,
like a
soft serve ice cream.
Yeah,
baby.
we get in the car
Soft
and we're
serve ice
driving,
cream.
and he's like, yeah, babe, just don't ever call me Mr. Softy.
We're like Three's Company here. Remember Jack Tripper, all that playful sexual humor. Like, don't ever call me Mr. Softy, even if it's, soft serve ice cream.
Yeah.
It's the name of a soft serve ice cream company.
That was funny. That was, Eli sometimes is pretty clever. He shocks me at times.
I'm an idiot, baby. You just
I'm the
just
jokester.
tolerate it.
I'm the jokester, and then sometimes
And
he
I'm
comes
the
back
idiot.
with
You
a
just
joke.
tolerate it. It's all good. Let's continue because we got so much. We're at an hour and 19 minutes, almost an hour and 20. All right, we're going to go over these very quickly. There are some key aspects here that we have notes on of an identity crisis, and we're going to go over them very quickly. So very quickly, questioning. Individuals may question their values, beliefs, goals, relationships, and even their sense of self. And we see that happen quite often with people on YouTube and other parts of social media, or even in the real world. Whenever I come across people that question themselves, I always try to turn around and say, you're worth it, and try to motivate them and inspire them to see the best in themselves. Real quick, what are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah. One thing, in the beginning of therapy, my therapist would tell me, I want you to get up when you go into the bathroom to get ready, brush your teeth, whatever. I want you to look in the mirror and say 3 good things about yourself and one thing you want to happen in that day. One good thing you want to happen.
Right.
And those are your, like, from the beginning of the day, those are your goals, is to stay in those words that you put out there that you said to yourself. So you say, I'm worth it. I deserve it. I am loved, because you are loved. Because one person that will never deny you love is the man upstairs.
Oh, the big guy in the sky.
The big guy in the sky. He will love you forever.
God and the good Lord Jesus Christ. Right.
Yes. Yes.
Amen.
So you have nothing to prove to anybody on this planet.
But yourself.
Just yourself.
But yourself.
Yourself. And then you just answer to the good Lord above.
Right. Right. All right. Confusion and doubt, a lack of clarity about one's identity can make decision-making difficult. And that's very important there, because in order to make the right decision, you have to work on building your self-confidence. You have to work on being able to take risks and chances and not be afraid to fail in order to reach success. If you don't fail, you're never going to be successful. No one is successful initially without failure. And if you're afraid of failure, you're going to fail.
Yeah. No, this, I know I always go back to children, but imagine a family where the dad was really, into sports. Mom was in the Olympics. Older brother is doing well in sports, football, whatever. And your sister is doing great track and field and volleyball. And you do nothing. You don't have an interest in sports. You don't want to do that. Who are you? Why am I putting this family with all of these people that do this and I don't? That really isolates.
You feel lost.
You feel lost. You're like, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm different from them. And so then they close off and they form an identity of an isolated person.
Didn't you feel that way at one point?
I would say yes, but not to the point I'm trying to describe. I did put boundaries up, and I was very, very defensive of all of my actions, where I think at the next level, it's a brick wall, cement wall, and there is no, getting through it. And that's the problem.
Well, there was one time, I want to bring it up to help other people, not to trigger you. But you said a few times years ago when I first met you that, I'm not a real Ledgerwood. You told that to your mother, and it triggered the shit out of your mother. And we can't blame her for that, right?
Yeah.
And so, and that's because, your father's not your biological father.
But he is my daddy.
But he is your dad, and I respect that. He's a great man. So, you had some issues with that, but you've worked through it. and it's
Yes.
all good now. I only mention it because anyone can work through any identity crisis, including not feeling like you're a part of your own family, for example, especially if you're adopted by one of the parents and, you feel like you're being left out of things, which that wasn't the case.
Yeah, my circumstance is that it was my mom and I, and she met my father, my current father. And I was like 3 years old, and they married, and he adopted me. And that's how they went. And then they had 2 sons after that were actual Ledgerwoods. And so growing up, I was cool. And it didn't get to be later on in like my early teens that I was really starting to feel left out. I didn't have the drive. I didn't think I was good enough to play competition sports. And so I never pushed myself. I didn't push myself academically to be the best of the best. And I just fell in the middle is what I did. And then I wasn't recognized. Like I felt like my name was never recognized as a Ledgerwood because it was never called out that way, and it's really, when I look back at it, it's really sad and sad to think that I went through that. But on the flip side, with the rest of my life that happened from then, I have learned that I was always a Ledgerwood. I was just given the attention in a different way than what my brothers were getting. And I thought that was because I wasn't a Ledgerwood, but it was because I was. They wanted me to feel special in other ways. Like, I think they wanted the little girl, and so they didn't push the sports, but they were still proud and happy to have me. Like, they pushed dance, and I really enjoyed dance. And so I did that through high school. I just never carried on with it. I went into nursing school after I had Ashley, and then, that was it. So that was how my life went. I graduated from high school. I had a baby. About a year into that, a year and a half, I started nursing school. I was in my 3rd semester when I had Jeremy. And I took 1 week off of school and went right back to school. And,
wow.
Yeah, which, honest to God, it's a hard thing to do, to leave your baby. But if you have a good partner, a good support system, then it's not as hard to do. You can feel safe knowing that your husband is home with your child, or your mother, or your best friend, or your father, whoever, and know that they feel safe. That was the easiest part of getting through nursing school, is knowing my kids would never be neglected if I was, at school. I had support from every angle, including my classmates. So it was a really good feeling. And that made who I was as a teenager, developing into myself. That pushed me up, and it made me feel really worthy. Like, I am smart. I can do this. I have 2 children under the age of 4, and I put myself through nursing school. I am smart. I am motivated. I can do this. And I did. And I got out there and I did it. But there were times still throughout my adult life where I still felt I wasn't good enough to get to the next level of, let's say, my nursing career. I got comfortable where I was. And I should have been,
striving for better. Always strive for better.
But that was one of my old personality traits, my old identity. And I had to whip myself back into shape, put myself out there and show them that I am worth more than what I'm giving them. And, it's all worked out with everything that's gone on in my life up until today. So I have zero regrets now, looking back at my life at the age of 50 versus when I was 40 years old and I regretted almost everything that happened. I hated my parents. I hated my ex-husband. I felt the whole world hated me.
Mm-hmm.
And
now you don't feel that way anymore.
I don't feel that. No, I don't.
Because you worked on yourself. You worked through your identity crisis.
And I realized that all of those people that I thought weren't there for me, they really were. I just wasn't receiving the help they wanted to give because I wasn't ready yet. And I'll accept all that responsibility. And the people that stood by me before Eli came, man, oh man, you guys are strong people and I love you for it. I have to say that.
Yeah.
Especially my friends that stick by me. Because you don't have to stick by friends when they are acting a fool, you know? And I have my girlfriend from Hollister, love her. And I have one best friend that might make me cry right now from Hollister, and he's in the hospital. And he has cancer. And he has
stage 1, I believe.
Yeah, he has acute renal failure. And so that contraindicates chemo. So they're trying to get his kidney function up in order to give him the chemo. So he's wrestling with a lot right now. And
God bless him.
It makes my heart sad. So if y'all believe or have somebody to talk to, please say a prayer for my friend Ray.
Absolutely. Prayers to Ray. Let's continue.
Now back to smiling.
Wonderful. No, God bless Ray. I mean, let's pray for him. He's a really good dude. He's a really good dude. He has an El Camino, and your dog Bochi loves Ray and the
loves
El Camino.
riding in the back of the El Camino.
And Ray would call Bochi homie.
Mm-hmm. My little homie.
Ray was born here, but he's an Orale-Holmes. He's cool. Listen, Ray is a very mature professional guy, but he has the look of the Orale-Holmes. You remember like Cheech Marin? He's got like that type of
and he has
appeal.
that personality.
The personality, too. but he's actually he's not a vato loco. Like
he's not. Yeah, he's not
a crazy. He's not a crazy. He's a vato.
Vato.
But he's not a vato loco.
No loco.
No loco.
No, he is a very kind-hearted man. The beautiful wife, who's been supporting him so well for the last 30 years. They've been supporting each other and loving each other for so long. Such a beautiful relationship, and my heart hurts for her.
Same here.
And we're going to be getting out there in a couple of days to go visit them.
We will.
So moving on to
let's
happy
continue.
things.
We got to blitz through these last 3 here because we got a couple more things to do, and now this show's going to be 2 hours. We got to wrap it up at the 2-hour mark. We want to keep it short this week to test something. Exploration. Individuals may experiment with different identities, roles, and behaviors in an attempt to find what feels right. So again, individuals may experiment with different identities, roles, and behaviors in an attempt to find what feels right. Like this dude on YouTube that's been vicariously living through my life and using my content as his content, right? So he's been experimenting with all this stuff, and it's made him some money. It's made him actually very good money over the last 5-6 years, to the point of where he's made that his identity, which is a false sense of identity and purpose, false sense of purpose. Real quick, do you agree? What are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I was also going to put in there with what was just said, is that happens a lot. You see it in the late high school days and college, where a lot of people are having a hard time identifying who they are. And in this day and time, that includes, your pronouns, figuring that out, figuring out your sexuality, all of that stuff. And you're finding where you fall into that. And that's a really hard thing. And so you will see kids that will go through the goth period or some other crazy thing that's out of their normal character.
Yeah.
But you'll just realize how they will come back. It's just them exploring. Now, I'm not saying anything about like in the LGBT world, like as far as, they're just experiencing and they'll go back. No. But they also are trying to figure out where they fit in that world, And just like people that are straight have to find their place in their world.
Absolutely.
So that's when you see a lot of these people that you're like, oh, last year, little Susie over here was all curly cues, and now she looks like Marilyn Manson.
Yeah,
you know? So yeah, that happens.
Yep. All right. Potential for growth. The introspection and self-reflection involved in an identity crisis can lead to personal growth, increased self-awareness, and a more authentic sense of self. So this is why we do what we do here. We help people, grow with their personal development, learn to love themselves, learn to figure out what their purpose is, and learn to focus on that purpose and not stray away and do things that might make you a little more money or get you a little more attention initially, but it's not going to be sustainable long term. Potential for growth, babe, is endless, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts real quick before we move on?
Yeah. That goes on your whole life. Your whole life. You can grow every single day.
Yeah, you got to be open to it. And you've got to connect with people that are going to help you grow. Mm-hmm. Not connect with people that are enabling you to keep doing shitty things.
Yeah. I mean, there's always a way to improve.
Right.
So you have to have your mind open to that. When you're running a business and you see you've kind of hit, plateau of what you're striving for, you got to sit back and go, okay, this has worked so far. Now, where do I have to make this change? A pivot almost to get something back going in a different direction that is still your identity, but you want to capture a different audience too.
Right.
So a lot of times, when people do YouTube, it is a whole acting type of situation. You get into character. And and I think that's one of the things that this gentleman does is he really gets into this character of being like an evil, like the picture he has on his thing is like an evil Joker looking like person, and that's the persona he takes on. Mm-hmm. And that's what happens when he wakes up and when he goes to bed, God only knows what he dreams about in his head.
Oh, yeah.
So, but then he wakes up and it's clocking in, clocking out. It really is. I hate to say that phrase.
Yeah,
but
I've heard that phrase quite a few times myself.
It is a job. You wake up, you get on the computer, you're clocked in.
But working. Is he happy doing that job? The thing is he happy doing that job, or is that all he feels he has and the only way he feels he can make money?
I think that's the only way he feels he can make money and evade paying taxes on it too.
Evade paying taxes? Yeah, I'm sure. A lot of these people on YouTube don't claim all their taxes. I claim all of mine. Even every single penny of every donation needs to be filed. But anyway, that's a show for another time. We'll do a show on creators filing taxes
and taxes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely critical. All right, let's continue here. Last one for this section here. Common triggers. Major life changes such as starting a new job, ending a relationship, or experiencing a traumatic event can trigger an identity crisis. You talked about that a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
And it does happen.
Divorce,
it's happened to all of us.
A death, getting fired from a job. Sometimes, you've been working a career for 15, 20 years. Let's say like myself, I was a nurse. When I surrendered my license due to my health and what was going on personally, I had to find a new identity, find a new worth, that what I was going out there, a purpose, something that I could take what I had already learned and put towards another purpose of helping people.
Yeah.
So I didn't let myself get discouraged that didn't carry out for the rest of my life. I took what I knew and the knowledge I had from that point to grow and explore another way I can use that knowledge in order to help people.
Right.
And that's what we're here to do. Not a doctor, not a therapist, nothing like that. You're just basically getting my life experiences or Eli's or any of our guests that come on.
Right.
So yeah, just want to reiterate We are no professionals. We are just giving our
Well,
feedback.
we are professionals, but
Well,
we are not
medical.
psychologists or medical. We're not medical professionals. We are business professionals.
Yes.
We are professional people that state our opinions.
Yeah, I was saying professionals in the state of being a doctor, therapist,
Right. You're talking about the medical field, psychology, psychiatry, right?
Yeah. So
MD,
we don't have those credentials.
All that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but what we have is life experience.
Right.
And that's what we're sharing. And, the good and the bad.
And the ugly.
Yeah. I mean, 50 years.
Don't forget the ugly.
Oh, yeah. I said, and the ugly too.
Yeah.
But between, he has 51 years of life. And he's had a lot of good. And he's had some ugly.
A lot of bad. A lot of bad.
Same with me.
I've had more bad than good. But you know what? The more bad you have, the better the good gets eventually.
See, in my life went opposite. I had good. And then now bad.
You never learned how the bad felt, so you didn't know how to handle it initially, right?
Well, yeah. And also I think a big thing, like I was saying, is I went from my dad's house to my ex-husband's house. I never learned how to be on my own, to live.
You never learned responsibilities, what you're saying.
To pay my own bills, to do all that. No, that just went into my ex-husband's hands.
Mm-hmm.
From my dad, he paid all the bills. Now to my ex-husband.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I didn't learn how to be who I was supposed to be at that age. Yeah,
because things happen young. No, I totally get it. But it's been turned around, and anyone can turn it around. All right, let's continue here. Signs you're having an identity crisis. An identity crisis involves questioning your sense of self and place in the world, often accompanied by feelings of confusion, anxiety, and lack of purpose. It is a normal part of life, especially during adolescence and midlife transitions, but can be challenging if persistent. We talked a lot about that previously. Questioning your identity, feeling lost or aimless, babe, questioning your values and beliefs. Do you keep doubting your core beliefs and values? You got to believe in yourself. Let's talk about that real brief. Or very briefly. If you doubt yourself, if you don't have self-confidence, how in the world is anyone else supposed to believe in you? If you don't love yourself deep within. Again, don't go out and say, hey, my name is Eli. I love myself, so you should love me too. You have that feeling deep within. And it radiates. Your happiness radiates. And you got to learn to love who you are, accept who you are, understand your self-worth, know your purpose. Because if you're going to question your own values and your beliefs, that's going to be your demise. That's your failure. And that's what's, again, is happening to this other dude that we're in this copyright situation with. Go ahead, babe.
Yeah, no, like with that situation, it's like there's a constant door and he's not opening it to see what's outside. He just wants to live in his little box and believe his own stuff and try to fight the battle behind the keyboard and not face the real
He feels
problem.
most comfortable behind the keyboard.
Sitting in his boxers.
Yep. All 319 pounds of him.
Mm-hmm.
Allegedly.
With his fat ass frappuccino.
Yeah. Yeah, this dude used to get like 3 or 4 large venti frappuccinos at like 1,000 calories each. And I told him years ago, dude, you're going to be the Goodyear blimp. And look what happened. Like, the funny thing is all these people on YouTube have criticized me for years, but everything I've said about all of them has eventually become true. Yeah. The thing is, it speaks for itself. There's this other woman. Her name is Christina. I'll just say her first name, Christina. She's a very a heavy-set woman that goes around trashing lots of people, including myself. Questions everything I do, even the good stuff that I do. It's like no matter what I say, it's not good enough for her. People like that, I ignore because I know I'm doing the best I can with what I've got, and my intentions are pure. She has a problem within herself. Something is lacking within herself. She's having an identity crisis. She's probably had one for a while. She's not happy with who she is. I'm sure she's not happy. being extremely overweight. A lot of these people have questioned me talking with a lisp. You should hear this Christina woman. The way that she talks like she's slurping all the time. I'm not going to go into any additional details why I think that is, because I don't want to be as rude as her. But a lot of these people, what they do is they project they project the way they see themselves onto you, and they criticize you in the way they see themselves. And it's serious, and we take it seriously, but it's become very comical at the same time because they just don't stop. They do the same thing year after year after year. Like you said in the past, they're stuck on stupid. You know what I mean? Anything else you want to add to that, or should we continue?
Oh, no, we can carry on.
Okay. The next one is feeling, excuse me, my apologies, feeling disconnected from your past. Do you find yourself feeling estranged from the person you used to be or the things you once valued? You know what? I've always been myself, but I've become a better version of myself. And that's what Coach Corey Wayne on YouTube also says, and I agree with him. What are your thoughts about that, babe?
Well, I believe I'm a better version of myself. And I believe that that came from learning from the behaviors I was doing before and the reactions I was getting in return.
You learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, that the way I was acting was not getting anything for me. So I had to change what I was doing in order to have that reception back.
So you got tired of going insane, meaning doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. You were doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, and that different result never came. You got the same result.
No, I needed to be the different results.
You needed to be the different result. Yeah. Amen. Continue.
Oh, no, that's just what I wanted to say on that shortly. Go on.
Okay. Then let's continue. Okay. I don't want to interrupt you.
Oh,
you know,
no, you're good.
I've learned my lesson to never interrupt you. Difficulty making decisions. Are you struggling to make decisions big or small because you're unsure of what you want or need? It's about self-confidence. It's about, becoming a bit stronger each and every day within yourself. It's about understanding that the only opinions of yourself that really matter are your own. Other people are going to trash you in this world, especially now with social media. They're going to trash you all day, every fucking day. Some of these people are so fucking miserable. They live to trash you all day, every day, including myself, including Don, and other people on the internet, other creators, right? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of these people are struggling, to make any decision of what they want or need.
Yeah, and we have gotten to a place in our life where we have everything we want and need, and we're just striving for more. We don't live on what we don't have right now. Mm-hmm. We just look at what we have, and we want to do more with it. And that's what everybody should want. They should want to do a little bit better with what they have, That's life. That's how we learn more. How do you expect to make any more money in life if you don't just keep trying?
Right.
Now,
check this out. The next one is emotional and behavioral changes. And we've got increased anxiety or depression that happens. We've got feeling dissatisfied or unfulfilled. We've talked about that. We've got low self-esteem, which is another thing we've talked about in the past, but it makes sense here as well. These people have low self-esteem. They just feel they aren't worthy. They lack self-worth. And social withdrawal. Let's talk about that, because everything else I just mentioned regarding emotional and behavioral changes all leads back to it causes social withdrawal. Then a lot of these people, they withdraw from the real world and come online like this guy. This guy comes online, the guy we're in the copyright battle with, and he makes his identity YouTube and basically social media, primarily YouTube. He has withdrawn from society socially otherwise.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
And that is a big problem with
huge problem.
What's going on YouTube and social media, that now so many people are becoming content creators, and that's all they do is they sit all day long creating content, not getting out and moving, not sitting here probably eating crap, snack food. Eli gets up he goes out and he walks. He used to do a lot of in-office streaming lives, but he's cut back. He does his walk. We do our podcast. He's satisfied with that. And so therefore he's happy.
This is like my live stream, but pre-recorded. It's the same, almost the same thing, but we're doing a podcast now. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm happy.
Live stream from the studio, at least. I do live streams from the walks almost every day, but you're saying I've cut back on the in-studio live streams I used to do in lieu of this podcast.
Well, yes, but I do believe that also came from you meeting me and then seeing that wasn't just your sole purpose anymore.
I like spending time with you at 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night or midnight and being there with you and sleeping with you and not getting up in the middle of the night and feeling the need to do a YouTube live stream to respond to this stupid drama bullshit.
But you were doing that in the past when I first moved in here.
I did.
Yeah. But you have now like adapted your identity to also living with another person, which is what I was talking about earlier. When you go into somebody else's domain, you adapt to them. They don't adapt to you. But as you grow together,
you adapt together.
You adapt together.
You become one.
Yes.
Right.
And that's where, when you do that, you build each other's strengths and you give them motivation.
And you help each other work through each other's weaknesses together.
Yes.
Right.
You build each other up and you work hard to do better every single day. And you have to remember,
right.
One day at a time. You're not going to change the world in one day. Sorry.
No.
Buzzkill.
No, that's okay. Let's go to how to overcome an identity crisis. We are at 1 hour and 51 minutes. It's going to be a little over 2 hours. You see, I tried to limit it to 90 minutes, and it never works, babe. I failed again.
I talk too much.
I failed again. Well, no, you did great. I failed, baby. I'll take the heat. Overcoming an identity crisis involves a multifaceted approach focused on self-discovery, exploration, and seeking support. It is crucial to acknowledge your feelings. Let's talk about that. It is crucial to acknowledge your feelings. Real quick, how important is it for both women and men? And men to acknowledge their feelings. Some men are very closed off emotionally. And how serious of an issue is that, babe?
It could be a real serious issue.
Why?
I was going to tell you if you could be patient.
Well, I just wanted to make it a little more dramatic, baby.
Yeah.
I'm making the show more dramatic.
You want to get that dramatic music?
I don't have any of that right now. I mean, I have some other music I could play, but anyway.
No, I'm kidding.
Royalty free from copyright from YouTube, but anyway, go ahead.
Okay. So what was I going to say now that we have self-discovery is what we were talking about. Overcoming an identity crisis involves a multifaceted approach focused on self-discovery. Okay. Exploration and seeking support. It is crucial to acknowledge your feelings. And I was saying that it is important for both women and men. Yeah.
I made it very dramatic because a lot of men are closed up on their feelings. It's important for both women and men to acknowledge their feelings and to express their feelings, because I feel if they don't, they're going to build up like a volcano, like Mount St. Helens, and eventually they're going to erupt and make the matters a hell of a lot worse.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm agreeing with you.
You have anything to add to that? Or
no.
Did I steal your thunder?
No, you didn't steal my thunder.
I didn't steal your thunder. Okay.
No. I feel like I'm repeating a lot. So when you make a point, I'm like, yeah, you got right to that point. I don't need to add anything.
Okay. It is crucial to acknowledge your feelings, explore your values and interests, and embrace the process of self-growth. And this is what we do here. Like, that's a great way to put it for the GNA. We help people embrace the process of self-growth, because many people don't. Many people criticize, oh, life coaches aren't they aren't real. They're money swindlers. They're panhandlers. They're grifters. You hear every excuse in the book by a lot of these people on social media, including YouTube, where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of understanding that this is stuff that everyone needs, self-help, they fight it. And that's why they further deteriorate. They further go into deeper depression, and, they further their identity crisis.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. I mean,
that's
what do you
exactly
think?
what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
You have nothing more to add to that.
No, it's like I said, like I've talked about all of this throughout the podcast. So I feel like I might be repeating myself by adding more to this stuff, because it really is saying a lot of what I've already said.
Well, there's different aspects of it.
Yeah.
But it all leads back to the same thing.
Yeah.
The whole point is, that's the point.
Yeah.
Like Coach Corey Wayne says, repetition is the mother of skill. One more time, repetition is the mother of skill, meaning that when you hear the same thing over and over and over and over again, eventually it becomes a habit.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you don't like me repeating myself, and you like to repeat yourself, but when it comes to teaching people self-help, we have to constantly fucking repeat ourselves.
Yeah.
To get the message through. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that could also be done by changing words and kind of manipulating your words differently.
Ooh.
So it doesn't sound as repetitive. Like,
okay, fair enough.
You do this, you do this, you do this. And like the person's going to be like, fuck you. Or you say, you want them to get better. Say, let's go for a walk. Let's say you want them to get out and get healthy. Somebody who's drowning in weight, and
right.
You want to motivate them. It's more like, instead of being like, you're fat, get your ass up and move. You're like, hey, why don't we go for a walk? Just trying to give them another perspective of how they can do it, versus you just saying, fat ass, get up off your ass. That really tripped me out, that one, babe.
No, that's okay, baby. All right. Let's continue here.
Yep.
Seeking professional guidance can also be beneficial, as it provides a safe space to explore and process your experiences. Professional guidance could be working with us at the GNA more as a emotional support group, and more so through motivation and inspiration through our content and just talking with us. Don and I, and other people here at the GNA, we are not psychologists. We're not psychiatrists. We don't have a psychology degree. We can help you, with your personal development, but some people might need a bit more than that. Like some other people that we've actually tried to help, recently. We just to make everyone aware, we had to, from YouTube, we had to remove another podcast, the one with Sharon, which was when was that one? That was 2 weeks ago, episode number 11, and then I think episode number 3 was Hot Facts with Robert. We had to remove that one. These are 2 YouTubers that basically, went their own way, said some not so nice things to us, basically did some things that were very despicable, and we couldn't just we didn't feel the need to keep that content up on YouTube. But both those episodes will always be available through the audio only podcast network. We've just removed the video versions from YouTube regarding that. But yeah, people can start with a life coach. I mean, technically I still do life coaching, but I don't call myself a life coach anymore. I'm the president and founder of the January Networking Association. We teach personal development. It's the same thing.
Yes.
I just don't feel the need to call myself that, but that's what we can provide for you folks here.
Yeah,
if you need more than that, then you have to go the route of a psychologist or psychiatrist.
Well,
go ahead.
and my therapist, if this is something you're interested in doing, my therapist says you can actually go through like a 12-month course and actually be a licensed life coach. And
A certified life coach.
Yeah, certified. Yes. Well, you would have a license, certified licensed life coach. And so that way you could charge like a certain amount for whatever.
I could already do that.
Well, I know, but it would be. She said it would be more beneficial.
Well, didn't explain what she said, and I don't know how she explained it. Life coaching is not a regulated industry. You do not need a license to do it. If you're going to run a business, you need a business license to run any business, but you do not need to have like a license like a psychiatrist would have. Now, what she's probably talking about is there are certain companies out there that will certify you with their program on how they feel life coaches should be. And they might also have their own sales program to basically sell life coaching through them. They provide the platform. You put it out there that you're an affiliate of them. And then you basically teach, their courses. And then you split the profits, right? In essence, that's not your own thing. That's like you being an independent contractor for somebody else. So you can do that, and they will give you. And there are some places where they will give you a certification according to their program. But to be honest with you, it doesn't really mean much. Yes, I may end up going to get one of those one day. That's to clarify, because a lot of people have asked. It's an unregulated industry, so you do not need a license to be a life coach. You need a business license to run any business, and you. I think I said everything I needed to say there. I think you get what I'm saying, right? Mm-hmm. And I understand what your therapist said, but
it was more for protection. If you have the certification, you're protected by anybody who wants to go sideways just because they're a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah,
that's a good way just to protect yourself.
Well, that's why I turned the GNA into a limited liability company, because right now what we do is under the label of the GNA.
Yeah.
And if people are going to sue us, they're going to be suing us as the GNA for this stuff, and it protects our personal assets. I get what you're saying. Anyway, let's continue.
Yeah, see, that's just a little advice for people who might be looking into doing this.
Yeah, so, acknowledge and accept that you're having the crisis. You need to do some self-reflection, spend some time journaling, meditating, engaging in activities that allow you to connect with your inner self. Meditation is really good. I've done that. You've done that. Maybe what I will do is take some courses on meditation. Maybe become more certified in something like that, because that can certainly help calm people down.
And a broad amount of people.
Right. And once those people are in a calm and relaxed state, they're going to be much more open to the help and much easier to work with, right? Mm-hmm. So meditation's a great thing. Exploration and experimentation. Try new hobbies. Learn new skills. Take on new challenges to discover facets of yourself. Explore different identities and ways of being engaging with various cultures and individuals. Like, we went to Chevy's today and we had a Mexican buffet on Father's Day. We're not Mexican, but we went there because we love Chevy's and we love Mexicans.
Well, I don't like how you say that. We love Mexican food, and we appreciate the
culture.
We appreciate the culture.
Well, we have the same thing. When I say we love Mexicans, I'm saying we appreciate the culture of the Mexican, the Hispanic.
I'm just giving you more of a politically correct way to put it, other than,
Thank you, my love. I love you.
I got to keep you in check, my love.
You got to keep me in check. Seek support. That's important. Reach out to trusted friends, family members, or a therapist to share your struggles and to gain different perspectives. Consider joining support groups or online forums where you can connect with others who are experiencing similar challenges. Support's very important. Like, that's what we do here. We provide support, emotional support. We're not doctors. We're not psychologists. We're like a good friend to you that's experienced and it has experienced a lot more than you have, and pretty much have been through everything you're probably going through, and we can share our experiences that could help turn things around for you. And if that doesn't work, then, a therapist may be the way to go, and a psychologist if you need medication.
Yeah, you kind of think of us as being like any kind of, I want to say kind of like a rehab type of thing. I'm not just talking about like drugs or alcohol. It could be from anything in your life you're having to come back from. And finding what your purpose is, what you're doing. When you're overloaded with so many things, you don't know which way to go. That's what it kind of feels like. You're being buried and you can't breathe. And this guy's only oxygen is Eli. So he got to dig himself up just to be at Eli's level to get oxygen.
Right.
And that's the problem. I mean, I could say this over and over and over again. That's the problem, is people don't have enough self-worth to actually believe in themselves, that what they have to say
they lack
is
confidence.
worthy,
They lack
or maybe even more worthy than what Eli is saying that day. Believe in yourself. Don't use other people's content. Don't, steal from people saying you're going to use money for a lawyer or donate it to a some kind of relief fund when you keep all the money yourselves. Don't lie to people. Be genuine. When you're lying, like, you're hiding. And if you're lying and taking money and you want that to be your identity, well, God bless you. Seriously, you'll need a lot of help upstairs at those pearly gates. You got some splaining to do.
Absolutely. Let's burn right through this. Embrace change and growth. That's important. Limit social comparisons. This is important. Let's get into this real quick. Reduce your exposure to social media or other platforms that promote unrealistic or curated images of others' lives. Focus on your own journey and progress rather than comparing yourself to others. This dude that's dealing with me regarding the copyright stuff, like, he compares himself to everyone, especially me. And he feels like it's a competition with everyone. And the only person you should ever compete with truly is yourself. Now, you may have some friendly competitions in life, playing baseball, football, sports, right? But at the end of the game, you shake hands, you say good game, right? And you can't look at every human being you encounter in life as a competitor. And that's how some people like this guy see everyone.
Yeah, but the beauty is I've even seen the progress in people that play sports where, like, let's say our pitcher from Saturday, who gave up like 5 runs in 2 innings, he got pulled after 6 runs came in, and he had to sit there and reflect. And he had to do some serious reflecting on his identity and, like, am I a starter? Should I be a starter? Maybe I should be relief. Maybe I should be a closer. Like, they think about all these things and where do I fit in to this lineup? Because I'm obviously failing at this one. I've got to find the place where I need to be in here. Do you get what I'm trying to say with that?
Yeah, like with this dude we're talking about here, his whole identity is YouTube. Yeah. Which is one of the biggest social media platforms in the world. And it's not realistic. Now, there are real people on YouTube and many aspects are real, but his expectations of YouTube replacing his real life is not, it's an unrealistic expectation. And he's going to say that's not what's going on, but it actually absolutely is. And he's just not realizing it, or he's just ignoring it because what else does he have? He doesn't think he has anything else.
Well, and anything you say, he's going to say the opposite of.
Absolutely. He'll watch this, and because we're in a copyright battle, either he'll go behind the scenes and privately do a reaction video to his private audience, but what he really would want to do normally is do this publicly, right?
Like right as we're doing it.
Right as it, when it gets, well, this is pre-recorded, so right when it gets released, or that same day, or next day, or whatever, right? He feels the need to respond, and even if he knows we're 100% right about everything we're saying, which we are, we're not trying to be right. We're just right here. He'll say the opposite because he always has to come off as the better person to his audience and anyone that surrounds him.
He always has to feel like he has a better idea amongst others. And he begs for attention. It's exhausting the amount of attention he needs just to survive.
Oh God,
per day.
I just don't even see how any woman can respect this guy. He has this supposed girlfriend he met from YouTube that I think he met her one time and they talk by phone every night, or they have like an online relationship. And I mean, it's just pathetic. I just can't see how any woman would respect a guy like this to give him any attention. I don't know. I guess there's someone for everyone, baby.
Well, I wouldn't respect a dude who couldn't get up and come out and have a date with me because, he's fixated at being in front of his computer and he just wants to have a computer relationship. Well, no.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Shooby doo wop doo doo wop. I want to love you, computer love. Yeah. Roger and Zap. Yeah. Last one, professional counseling. A mental health professional can provide guidance and support during your identity crisis, helping you to explore your feelings and develop healthy coping mechanisms. Your
my
therapist,
favorite word.
Coping mechanisms. That's another. We've got to do a show on coping mechanisms. Your therapist has helped you cope with so much.
She has this magical box.
How important is professional counseling from a licensed mental health professional, such as a therapist, psychiatrist, or both? And I'm not talking about a counselor. I'm talking about a therapist and then a psychiatrist.
Both doctors.
Both are doctors. Counselors are not typically doctors. They can be. But if they're doctors with a psychology degree, they're typically going to be a therapist. Mm-hmm. There's more money in being a therapist and a psychiatrist than there is in being a fucking counselor. No disrespect. I didn't mean to criticize that.
No, I mean, when
counselors
you say
don't need counselors don't. I think counselors just need a bachelor's degree.
Yeah, because how many counselors did we have in high school? Those are all counselors we had.
Yeah.
They weren't therapists. They weren't life coaches.
Counselors just need.
They show you the direction to go in life.
Yeah, I don't think they even need a degree in psychology. Now, I believe the other two, the therapist and psychiatrist, they both need a minimum bachelor's in psychology.
Yes,
but not counselors.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Counselors are like CNAs.
Certified nursing assistants.
Yeah, that's it. That's all they are.
Yeah.
The peons. But, I'm sorry.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say they are peons. I get why you're saying that, and no disrespect intended there.
No disrespect to all those wonderful CNAs. I'm talking about one in particular.
You need, if you're struggling deeply, mentally and emotionally, you need a therapist.
Absolutely.
And then she or he can refer you to a psychiatrist if you need medication, because therapists cannot prescribe medication. Psychologists can.
Your therapist is there to help you develop coping mechanisms so that you can calmly face the battles that you have. For instance, my feelings about surrendering my nurse's license. I did it because I was too sick. I couldn't work at all. Now I have some regrets as to not going back and working hard to get it back, but I got lazy and I felt that was taken and that wasn't my purpose anymore. Mm-hmm. There's a reason I wasn't. And could it be that it potentially saved somebody else's life because I could have made a mistake? I don't know, but there's a reason why I needed to stop being a nurse right then. And I do believe that God has scripted everything for us. And at that point in my life is when I needed to change my purpose to something else.
Do you know what, baby? Don't you know? Things will change. Things will go your way if you hold on for
one more day.
Things will go your way.
Hold on for one more
Hold
day.
on for one more day.
And they are?
They are Wilson Phillips. Wilson
Yes.
Phillips. I'm going to give myself a big fucking round of applause for that, baby. I didn't butcher the Wilson Phillips song. Didn't they all lose weight?
What?
Didn't they all lose weight? Wasn't one of them really overweight and they lost weight?
Carney Wilson was very overweight. She went through gastric
bypass.
and she's been very successful. Carney
you know that woman that's been harassing us on YouTube, that Tammy woman? She's taking donations
for gastric
bypass surgery. Go ahead. I had to mention that.
Ridiculous. I was going to say Carney Wilson is the daughter of Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys.
Oh.
And I believe he just passed away.
Oh, yeah. God rest his soul.
Yeah. But they're all a very musical family. In fact, Carney's daughter went and auditioned on The Voice last season.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she didn't make it to the lives, but she's very good. And she's young, so she has time.
Oh, wonderful.
And a friggin' supportive, great. She's got Wilson Phillips. She's got her aunt, her mom, and, a friend that are all, super supportive and all in the industry and bringing up that confidence so that she knows this identity she has. She can do it.
Absolutely.
What were you going to say, baby?
Well, before we go, we're about to wrap things up. We're at 2 hours and 16 minutes, baby. See, I said 90 minutes. We went. It's my fault. Remember Hiking Hippie? She commented, it's been a while. Hiking Hippie, a good friend of mine. I'm not going to mention who she is, per her request and out of respect. She commented on a Walking with Purpose live stream I did yesterday. This is yesterday as a day of the recording. Why can't people let things go on and off of YouTube is what I call the stream. And she goes, watching on the replay, I learned this lesson long ago. Life is too short to hold grudges and go through life angry. Letting things go lets you find peace within yourself. Hope you're doing well and having a fantastic day. Well, Hiking Hippie, Don and I are both doing absolutely well. We just got your comment here, and we have a lot of respect for you, and we know you catch the podcast and the show. Sorry, we catch the podcast. You catch the podcast and the shows when you can, and I just wanted to acknowledge her on that because it was a really nice comment that flowed nicely to end the show here.
Yes.
Any final thoughts, babe, before we wrap this baby up?
Just be true to yourself. Listen to who you are, and don't be fake. That's all I have to say. Don't be fake.
Yeah, your identity crisis will end when you stop fooling yourself, when you stop lying to yourself, and like Don said, when you stop being fake. With that being said, baby,
yes,
it's time to start wrapping things up. Right, baby?
Right, baby.
Yeah. All right. You've been listening to the Don and Eli Take on the World podcast, episode number 13, which was about overcoming an identity crisis. Overcoming an identity crisis, baby. Great show. Now, baby, let's remind everyone once again that there are many ways they can watch this show, but specifically if you're listening, there are many ways they can listen to the show. They can watch it only one way. If you're listening to our show throughout the entire audio-only podcast network, such as Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and your very favorite, baby, as always, iHeartRadio, or anywhere else, there are many places that are no-name places, no disrespect, that have it audio only. If you're on the audio only podcast, go below the description wherever you're listening to this audio only, and within that description you will find the link to the video of that particular podcast, which is always hosted on our main channel, GNA, Genuine Personal Development. If that particular link says video is private or unavailable, that means we had to remove it. YouTube did not remove it. We will remove certain shows from YouTube if people from YouTube do an interview with us, and we just don't want to put that out there to support that person anymore. But it will always be available, throughout the podcast network. Now, when you go there, you're going to be on the GNA Genuine Personal Development channel. Subscribe there, bang the bell, select on notifications, and then go below the description and subscribe to our live streaming channel, GNA2, Genuine Live Personal Development, where we do daily or almost daily Walking with Purpose live streams. With that being said, baby, it is time to go now. So, have a good one, everyone. Take care of what, baby? And as always, what? As always, be good
to each other.
Be good to each other.